Robson impresses at Radlett on rain-hit day. Middlesex's game away at Leicestershire was one of the worst affected by the weather last week, as only 11 overs were possible from the 4 days' play. They'll hope the weather is kinder as they head to one of their outgrounds at Radlett Cricket Club. Glamorgan, on the other hand, were able to play out a high-scoring draw with Derbyshire with minimal interference from the weather. But the rain struck again as no play was possible at Radlett until midway through the afternoon session. Glamorgan opted not to contest the toss and have a bowl, but Robson and Eskenazi made a solid start for their side as they moved to 25 without loss, as both batsmen picked up early boundaries amid a testing opening spell from De Lange. A very fine glance for 4, followed by a pull to the boundary from Eskenazi, helped Middlesex pass 50 without loss as they continued in unhurried fashion towards the tea break. And Robson greeted Wagg's introduction to the attack with a dab for 4 down to third man as Middlesex built an excellent foundation. But with the final ball before the interval, David Lloyd was able to pin Eskenazi in front to make the Glamorgan teas taste a little better, with Middlesex 77 for 1. Newman Gubbins had a let-off as he under-edged a cut past his stumps, but his reprieve didn't last long before he was pinned in front by Graham Wagg. Robson remained though to take Middlesex past the 100 mark in partnership with Milan. Both batsmen sent De Lange to the rope in contrasting fashion as the pair looked to become a bit more expansive as the close approached, but De Lange hit back when he had Milan edging behind to Cullen. Robson responded with boundaries off Carey and De Lange, and Robson saw his side to the close in partnership with Sterling at 151 for 3. Robson will hope to kick on from 85 not out and put his side in command on day 2.
Sterling and Robson scored tons as batting finally clicks for Middlesex. A weather-affected opening day at Radlett had seen Middlesex battle to 151 for 3 at stumps, Sam Robson closing in on a century with Sterling for company unbeaten on 3. Glamorgan would be looking for early wickets in an extended opening session on day 2 as they attempted to make up for play lost on the opening day. The hosts started in steady fashion, the first boundary of the day coming from Robson, and it wasn't long before he put himself onto 3 figures, his first century of the season. Next the pair brought up the 200, and then Sterling accelerated to his 50. However, he was soon looking for some new company at the crease as Robson fell, caught by Cullen off Labuschagne for 107. Scott was the new man in, and he allowed Sterling to have the lion's share of the strike, as Middlesex made it through to lunch for no further loss. The score 272 for 4 at the break, Sterling 15 away from his century. Into the afternoon and Scott was first to fall, bowled by Carey for 31. However, it didn't take long for some good news for the hosts as Sterling moved to 3 figures, a glorious 4 straight back down the ground off Van der Houten, bringing up the milestone. He then moved to his highest championship score as he went to 112, Middlesex passed 300 as well. Simpson nicked off to Van der Houten for 15 to make it 333 for 6. And as Sterling continued his assault against the Glamorgan attack, Helm became the next to go. He was trapped LBW by Labuschagne for 8. The score moved towards 400, but Sterling was unable to hang around any longer, his innings finally coming to a close on 138, bowled by Labuschagne, so that meant at tea, Middlesex were 394 for 8. Sota fell just after the break, caught off De Lange for 28. And in his next over, De Lange brought the innings to a close as he bowled Murtagh for a duck. Finn not out on 15, Middlesex all out for 410. In reply, Glamorgan had a shocking start as Selman was run out by Gubbins without facing a ball. Labuschagne and Hemphrey rebuilt from that nightmare start, and they put on a well-constructed 50 partnership for the second wicket. Labuschagne in particular was finding the boundary with ease. He moved to 50, and the duo saw their tally reach 80. But it was at that point that Middlesex broke through, Murtagh trapping Hemphrey LBW for 27. And 3 overs later, Finn removed Labuschagne, Sterling with the catch as he fell for 51. That left in-form Billy Root to try and steady the ship with his skipper Lloyd, and they did see play through to the close. 112 for 3 the score at stumps. Glamorgan 298 runs behind with 7 wickets intact heading into day 3. Glamorgan avoid follow-on thanks to half-centuries from Lloyd and Cullen. Centuries from both Robson and Sterling had helped Middlesex chalk up a decent first innings total at Radlett of 410, and then, following an early run-out, a wicket apiece for Finn and Murtagh saw the visitors close on day 2 112 for 3, still 298 runs shy of the Middlesex total. Lloyd and Root resumed, but all of their hard work on the second evening was quickly undone as the Middlesex attack made full use of the conditions. Root was first to go, bowled by Finn for 14, and in his next over the former England paceman struck again, Morgan caught by Sterling for a duck. That left Glamorgan on 118 for 5, Cullen the new man in to join skipper Lloyd. They set about rebuilding, Lloyd going on the attack with back-to-back boundaries off helm. Cullen moved off the mark with a fine cut shot off Finn, and the partnership grew, the 150 coming up in the 49th over, and when both batsmen hit Sota to the rope a couple of overs later, that brought up a 50 partnership. Further boundaries ensued from the skipper, and he quickly brought up his 50, Glamorgan moving to 185 for 5 in the process. Middlesex did manage to get rid of the skipper just before the interval, Lloyd top-edging one to helm down at deep square leg, out for 59, the score at lunch 214 for 6. Rain arrived during the interval, so the restart was delayed, and when they resumed, Cullen brought up his third half-century of the campaign as the visitors continued to move towards avoiding the follow-on. However, having just reached 50, Cullen was next to fall, caught by Eshkenazi off Sterling. The rain returned with Glamorgan on 233 for 7, but it wasn't too long before the covers were off once more, and when they went back out to the middle, De Lange was swiftly on his way back to the pavilion, caught by Murtagh off Sterling for 4. Carey joined Wag. They took the score past the necessary target to avoid the follow-on of 260 before Carey became Finn's 5th victim when he cut him to Scott for 12. 266 for 9 became 274 for 9 as the heavens opened once more, and that was to be that in Radlett. One day's play to come, with Glamorgan 136 runs shy of Middlesex's first innings effort. They have just the 1 wicket remaining. Honours even between Middlesex and Glamorgan as rain curtails contest. Rain in Radlett dominated day 3, a premature end brought about by the inclement weather, and the overhead conditions would dominate day 4 as well. Glamorgan resumed on 274 for 9, trailing their hosts by 136 runs with just that 1 wicket in hand. They looked to move the score on quickly. Wag plundered the impressive Finn for successive boundaries, but his innings didn't last much longer. Helm would be the man to get him. The Glamorgan number 8 went for a big shot off a short delivery, but could only find Gubbins at deep square leg, departing for 48. Finn had been the pick of the bowlers, picking up 5 for 75. Despite a smattering of half-centuries, Glamorgan still couldn't get close to Middlesex's mammoth first innings total, but with time running out, they knew defeat was far from certain. The maths for Middlesex was simple: bat quickly and hope to have enough time to bowl Glamorgan out a second time. Eshkenazi and Robson set about their task, putting on 42 before Eshkenazi was caught at point off the bowling of Van der Gooten, trying to force one over the offside. Gubbins would pick up the baton and began to force the issue, scoring at a runner ball. Robson fell just before lunch. Unable to get all of a short ball, he only succeeded in finding Hemphrey at deep mid-wicket to go for 36. 82 for 2 at lunch, but the rain and the air threatened to derail a good start to their second innings. The resumption saw Gubbins pick up where he'd left off, and he looked to score as quickly as possible, but that enthusiasm would be his undoing. An attempted reverse sweep to a straight one from Labuschagne failed to connect, and he'd depart trapped LBW for 36. Milan and Sterling took Middlesex past 100, but their partnership was brought to an end by De Lange, Milan prodding at a short ball and caught behind for 18. And it was then the rain that finally put pay to any Middlesex hopes of forcing an unlikely win, an initial short delay becoming a prolonged one, and with time running out, no let-up in the deluge, both captains shook hands on a draw. A frustrating outcome for Middlesex, who'd been heading for a declaration in the end. They had to settle for a fourth draw this term, 12 points going to the hosts, whilst Glamorgan remain unbeaten and in second place in the table after taking 9.